Let's talk once more about the concept of presence. We've seen presence before, and we know that it's more or less a subjective experience, feeling and behaving as if you're in the virtual world. So the more important thing here is that it's subjective, right? We've seen that immersion is an objective construct, but presence is a subjective experience. You can present the same virtual world to different people and they will have a different subjective experience. Some will feel more present in this virtual world, others will perhaps feel not that present in the very same virtual world. So this guy here in the picture, he feels very much present in a different world. He's really acting and feeling as if he is in this different place. So yeah, it's a psychological state, right? In which even though part of your current experience is generated by technology and you know this, still your perception of it fails to acknowledge the role of the technology in the experience. So you sort of forget that this is fake, that this virtual world is fake. You sort of really act and feel as if you're in this different place. It's a psychological state, it's a subjective psychological state that you can have. So now, if you think of using virtual reality and combining this with some type of art, in this case, literary art, then what in this case does presence actually mean? I think it can actually mean two things. One is you may feel subjectively present in this virtual world. And with virtual world, I here mean the audio-visual environment. So if you're sitting at this table in this literary work, you could really feel as if you're in this different place, sitting at this table yourself, interacting with this father, in this case, opposite to you, looking around and seeing things as if you're really in this different place. So you may feel really present, subjectively, in this different audio-visual environment. At the same time, there's also a story world, right? Perhaps a bit similar to when you're reading a novel. So there you might also feel transported, absorbed in the story world. And that's not necessarily exactly the same world as this audio-visual world that's surrounding you in this virtual experience. So in this case, more or less those two types of immersion, presence, transportation, absorption sort of come together in this work of art. Right, so then if you want to measure if people felt present or absorbed by this different world, you can measure different things. You can measure whether they felt present in the spatial environment, maybe the audio-visual spatial environment, for instance, using presence questionnaires. But you could also test whether they felt absorbed in the story world, asking them questions, presenting them with statements about the story itself, and not so much perhaps the physical spatial environment they were in. So notice that when people are talking about the virtual environment itself, often they're talking about this in terms of presence, spatial presence, for instance, social presence. People could feel immersed in this different environment. When you're more talking about feeling immersed in the story world, people more often use terms that come from a more literary tradition, such as absorption or transportation into sort of, you build a sort of mental model of the story world, and you may feel as if you're really inside of this story, transported into the story. So they're a bit similar, they're a bit different. And this is kind of nice works of digital literature that make use of virtual reality. Those different concepts from different traditions nicely come together.